Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Alexxx. Today we're gonna be doing a book review because I finally finished Dune. And I did find this, I think last year at a thrift store actually, after I watched the movie. I think the movie came out in 2021 maybe, or 2020, around there. I don't remember, but I did watch that in theaters. Completely oblivious that it was based on a book. So yeah, when I found it at the thrift store, I was like very excited because I wanted more information after watching the movie and not really getting enough information. I thought reading the book usually, for the most part, gives you more information, more story, more detail, you know? But before we get into this review, make sure to subscribe if you're new here. I put out different types of content. Also check out the links down below in the description box where you can shop eBay and Poshmarks run by me, myself, and I. So thank you if you do. I know this is probably not going to be a popular opinion because people do love it. Let me read some of the praise for Dune here. It is possible that Dune is even greater relevant now than when it was first published, by the New Yorker. This next one is by Arthur C. Clarke. He says, quote, unique, ... in depth of its characterization and the extraordinary detail of the world it creates. I know nothing comparable to it except for The Lord of the Rings. Which I agree with the world it creates being like this big major... Hold on. The world of Dune is definitely like a big major part of this book and why it gets so much praise. Herbert is a very smart writer, but I did not get any more details, really that much more than I did in the movie part 1, which is, I guess we're gonna get part 2 soon. Probably will not watch it in theaters, but anyway, let me stick to the book. At around page 120 something, before there's a betrayal, they're going to the sand dunes to check out the machinery that's working there. I put it down because it was so boring. It was so slow paced and it just wasn't very exciting, so I almost didn't even finish reading this book. But Herbert is such a smart and strong writer that is why I continue to read it, because of his writing. It's just so powerful. You can tell he's just very smart, and like, he was very old when he wrote this book, and this book came out a long time ago, and it also came out in parts, which would make sense why the pacing is so off. And if you write or read, and if you read Dune, you would understand that the pacing is completely like choppy and like slow. But then also, like I said, there's not enough detail, there's not enough background about the world. It's such a creative, obviously sci-fi. He makes up this whole like sections of people like witches and obviously like their own type of political parties and troubles, which just connect with our reality, because he has political stuff going on in this book, which I'm not really interested in politics all that much, but that was very interesting, and it shows how smart his writing is. But it wasn't as like intense or like as amazing or like unique as people talk about it. In my opinion, I did not like feel connected to any of the characters like at all, which is sad because this is very praised, and the world definitely is like the most realistic part of this book. Paul, the main character, you want to like him, you kind of want to like him. And in the way that he like goes through this change in the book, without going into too many spoilers, he does change a lot and evolve in this book, and it really reminded me of like spirituality and wakening up to being more than a human being. Like he becomes like completely detached, disconnected. He has visions. he's like been trained since he was a young boy by his mother and like people around her in his home. He's been trained, but he goes through a different type of awakening as he's maturing, I guess, that coincides with spirituality and awakening. But you can't always relate to Paul because there are points near the end where big things happen where he does not care. And he should. You would think that he should. Even being woken up, or like, he's not a machine. He was still born by Jessica, his mother. He was still created like everybody else. So it's kind of weird having him not respond to humanly, I guess. He's just very like cold, so you don't relate to Paul, the main character. There's a lot of characters that are just there to serve a part, of course. Like, yeah, it's a story, it's fiction, it's sci-fi, but like, you want to believe it. When you're writing, as a writer, you want to make these characters believable. You want the reader to care for them. And the only reason why I finished this book, besides Herbert's writing strength, is because I wanted to get to the ending. People said it was like amazing and unbelievable, but it wasn't. It was nothing new, because what happens in the end, Paul does previously, you know, I guess I'll go into a little bit of a spoiler. He kills somebody, and but he does that before. And again, there's like a lot of talking after that, and it's just super weird. It's so weird and unbelievable, the amount of talking after ending a life. And like, yeah, I was a bad guy. Let's go into the bad guys, because in my opinion they were the most interesting. Specifically the Baron. He's the bad guy in this book, and he's part of the Harkonnens, which are evil, and that is like a whole nother mystery, kind of, that you will learn about it with relating to Paul and his mother. But anyway, yeah, the Harkonnens are like the bad guys. They're in power. They're a group of people that are in power, like a family. And yeah, the Baron was the most interesting to read. Not that I would personally want to know him, because he looks like a very evil, disgusting, so yeah, he was a great villain. But yeah, his chapters, which is like 3 or 4 maybe, I can't remember, were the most entertaining. Okay. And listening to his thoughts or reading it, I'm very imaginative, so when I'm reading, I can imagine what I'm reading. It was definitely the most interesting, because Paul is too detached. Jessica is also like not very believable as a mother. And I know this is like a different world. It's sci-fi, so it's like metallic, cold, very dry. This whole story is like the desert that they live in this world, which is very dry, in my opinion. Yeah. The Baron, though, he has a fetish as well, which is kind of controversial. But also, we can see that in our world, with pedophiles and child predators. He is like that. And that makes him even more evil and disgusting, apart from being like obese and all of this stuff. Herbert just really went into the villain, and he's just made him as horrible as possible. But again, like, there's a lot of other people who are like using the Baron as well for his nephew's sperm and stuff like that. So there's like a lot of gray areas with these characters. The Baron is definitely evil, but they are gray characters, like gray area characters, and there's a lot of scheming going on in this book, which is really interesting and cool. But it does not really hold up to modern day, I don't think, just because it's not believable. Yeah, the characters are not very believable at all, in my opinion. The main character is the most important character, and he is just like, I want to like Paul, but I can't. He's like soulless. You know, he's like very hard to like. And then his father passes very early on, like you see in the movie. If you probably already seen the movie, he gets betrayed. I also have a problem with that betrayal because the person who betrays him, we do get more information about that. The background of the doctor who betrays them. He was pretty much raised to be loyal to the Duke, as I understood. Maybe I'm not completely understanding, because he is a very smart writer. Like, there's some words I had to look in the back of the book for, because it is like made up as well. So yeah, the betrayal did not make sense to me, because that person in particular is supposed to be completely loyal and devoted to this family. Okay, so it's like, it's not really explained enough for me to believe that he would betray them just for his wife or partner. I think that's why he did it in the book. He thought, but this is the tricky part, even though he did it because he says that he could have saved his wife, but the Baron is so evil that he subconsciously, but I think he already knew directly actually, because of what he does to the Duke and his tooth. He knew that the Baron was not going to hold or keep his word to him. So I don't understand like why he would betray them, knowing damn well that this Baron is super evil. That's a big plot hole for me. That's a no, I don't believe it. Like, you can't be that stupid. You were literally trained to be devoted and trustworthy to this family, and then you're gonna do that, and then you're gonna help the bad guy that you know is evil. You know she's already dead. Like, it doesn't make sense. He should not be that he should not be easily emotionally manipulated by a freaking evil bad guy. Like, everybody knows. Like, nobody trusts the Baron. They all know he's evil. So to me, that did not connect. I didn't understand, because he puts like this poison in the Duke's mouth to like take out the Baron, because he already knew he was lying. He already knew he wasn't gonna let her go. He ends up killing the doctor. You'll see that in probably the second part of the movie. From what I remember, they didn't show that much. There's not much happening anyway. There's not really that much happening, but part 2 should be more exciting. I probably will rent it just to see what they do, what they show. But yeah, a lot of the characters were not believable, and I know this was written in parts, so that could explain the pacing of it, but you would think that like before putting it into like one whole book, they would like have Herbert edit it. I don't know if he had passed by this point. I don't know. I didn't look that deeply into it. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and rate it now. From 1 to 5 stars, I would give this a 3.5. And I think that's pretty fair. I don't believe the hype. 3.5 is average. It's like a C, maybe. C plus. Yeah, like a C plus. Because, like I said, it's not believable. The characters are not relatable in any way, shape, or form. Like, the world building is really cool and interesting, yeah, but that's about it. And his writing is on point. Like, he's a smart writer. This has a lot of potential to, like, he could have definitely evolved the characters. He could have added more backstory to the betrayal of the doctor. He could have given the Baron a past with the doctor. Maybe he like was really good at manipulating, but when you see the Baron communicating with others, you can tell that he just doesn't have the most good intentions. Like, he's very malicious, and they think that they're communicating in like a coded way, like, oh, you don't know what I'm gonna do, but you do. You have like a sense of his evilness, like just the way he lives. You just know not to trust this person. And so yeah, he could have definitely added more to make that betrayal believable, which is a big part of why everything goes to shit, is that betrayal. So that was very important and not very well thought out, I think. I know, don't hate me. Don't hate me. But I mean, when you're writing a book, you have a lot of, you don't have a budget. Maybe he was on time constraints. I don't know. But yeah, I think he could have done better with the characters and being believable and stuff. Okay, so that's the review. That's the rating. I'm gonna stay at a 3.5. The half is because I would give it a 3, a solid 3, but because Herbert is such a good writer compared to other sci-fis, yeah, I'll give it a half, a 3.5. C plus, solid. I would not recommend this unless you find it secondhand. I will be listing this on my eBay. Probably just $5. It's a hardcover. It is a little damaged, but I will not be rereading this. If you want to, you totally can. You can also probably find it at a secondhand store, but I would not pay full price for this. It's probably like 20 or 30, maybe more. Let me see, how much is this new? This was written in 1986. That's what it says. And it retails for $29.95. So not bad. Not bad. But if I had paid $29.95, I would have been a little bit upset because so many people said that it was so great and they like overhyped it, and it's just not. It's very dry. It's a very dry story, like the desert. That's what I would. My review would be like, don't believe the hype. And characters are as dry as the desert. Good luck. No, there was definitely some interesting parts, but just not enough. Not enough. Not enough. Anyway, I hope you don't hate me. Just being honest. Maybe it's not my type of story. I like more like character-driven stories. Also, more action would have been nice since it's sci-fi. But yeah, subscribe and look out for other book reviews, and don't hate me. Thank you.